The Kentucky FACE program shares investigative findings with employers and employees to help prevent future instances of serious injury or death. This incident involved the owner of a tow truck company who was responding to a late-night call for assistance. The company was a relatively small operation, operating 3 tow trucks with 3 employees. The towing company had been contacted just around 12 a.m. on July 7, 2012 to retrieve a broken-down SUV in a nearby state and to return it to its owner in Kentucky. What was supposed to be a routine work call on an early midsummer morning would soon turn into tragedy. The tow truck driver and his 2 sons got into the rollback wrecker and began the 225-mile route to the SUV. With a long drive ahead of them through the night, it would take them approximately 3.5 hours to reach their destination. Upon reaching their destination, the stranded SUV was loaded onto the rollback wrecker using only 3 anchoring points rather than 4. The vehicle warning lights were engaged, and the father and his 2 sons began their journey back north towards home, which would take them an additional 3.5 hours. It was approximately 3:50 a.m. and about 90 miles before their destination when the driver told his sons that the load felt strange. He pulled his wrecker to the right side of the interstate, engaged the warning lights, and exited the cab. He placed no hazard signs or warning flags on the roadway adjacent to the rollback, nor did he wear any reflective vest or clothing. He approached the left rear of the rollback and began to tighten the cables that secured the load. It was dark, the pavement was dry, and there was no precipitation. As the tow truck driver was tightening his load, a box truck driven by a 24-year-old man approached their location. The box truck was a 2008 white single-cab truck that weighed 12,500 pounds. The box truck had received a ticket for speeding only a few hours before. As the box truck approached their location, it veered into the right emergency lane, crushing the tow truck driver between the box truck and the bed of the tow truck. The force of the impact was so great that it sent the box truck careening back onto the interstate, where it flipped onto its side before coming to a rest some 38 yards away. The tow truck was forced into the right side guardrail. The operator of the tow truck stood no chance against the force of the box truck. He was killed instantly, suffering massive head and chest injuries. The impact sent his body flying through the air where it came to rest on the left shoulder of the highway. The front right tire of the box truck was ripped entirely off of the vehicle upon impact with the tow truck driver. Following the incident, the driver of the box truck, still conscious, climbed through the cargo window and exited through the rear of the truck. Moments after the impact, the tow truck driver's 18-year-old son looked out of the vehicle to see if his father was okay. Stunned by seeing his father's body on the left shoulder, he called 911 on his cell phone. He was in such shock that he was unable to tell the 911 operator where they were. Emergency first responders were notified of the incident at approximately 3:55 a.m. and were on the scene at 4:05 a.m. They contacted the county coroner, who arrived and declared the tow truck driver dead at the scene. First responders detected alcohol in the box truck driver's breath, indicating that he had been driving under the influence. They tried to administer a field sobriety test. He denied the test, claiming he could not comply due to having been in the accident. He was then transported to a hospital where he refused to supply a blood test as well. After having a warrant for a blood test 3 hours after the incident, he was found to have a BAC of .115. He was charged with homicide, wanton endangerment, and several commercial vehicle violations. While the 2 sons who were in the cab at the time of the incident were fortunate enough to not have been injured, they witnessed the tragic event and were forever left without a father. The tow truck company closed its doors following the tragic incident, leaving the remaining 3 employees jobless. This accident was the product of an intricate equation where any one factor being changed could have prevented this man's death. Considering the fact that the man's life could have been spared had the box truck driver not been drinking, is there anything else that could have prevented this terrible tragedy? Recommendation number 1. 4 points of securement should be used when transporting a load. The load only had 3 points of securement. This would increase the likelihood that the load would shift back and forth during transport, making it feel unstable or strange, as the driver had mentioned. Recommendation number 2. Towing operators should receive proper safety and operational training annually. It's unknown what training the tow truck operator had. While regulations exist, there are no laws requiring that tow truck drivers have any type of formal safety training. Recommendation number 3. Maximum carrying capacity should not be exceeded. Trucks with aluminum bedding could have the securement sights stretched more easily if the maximum carrying capacity is exceeded. The securement sights on this truck were considerably warped, which could have led to the load feeling unstable. Because of this, truck beds made of steel are strongly recommended as they are less likely to stretch. Recommendation number 4, portable warning devices should be used when outside of the truck to alert approaching motorists. Even though it isn't required, it's strongly recommended that safety warning devices be deployed anytime that somebody is working outside of a tow truck on the side of the road. The device should be displayed the entire time that the truck or the load is being attended to. A simple device like this may have prevented this tragedy from occurring. Recommendation number 5. Appropriate high visibility vests should be worn by persons working along highways and streets. The Federal Highway Administration says that a high visibility vest should be replaced when it becomes faded, damaged, or defaced, or if it is no longer visible at 1,000 feet day or night. In addition to a vest usage policy, additional enforcement actions should be considered. A strict policy of if your feet are on the street, then your vest is on your chest should be adhered to. Recommendation number 6. There should be increased public awareness of the move over law in Kentucky. This law requires motorists to move over into the far lane whenever they are able to, or to slow down when approaching an emergency vehicle with its lights flashing. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet distributed approximately 100 of these signs across the state in 2005. Increasing public awareness in the future may further help prevent tragedies such as this from happening. Recommendation number 7. A proper pre-trip and post-trip inspection should be performed at the beginning and closing of each workday. During these inspections, the dual winch controls should be closely examined so that they are in proper working order. In this scenario, the driver's life may have been spared if he had been using the winch controls on the opposite side of the truck bed that was furthest from approaching traffic. Recommendation number 8. Whenever possible, the tow truck driver should pull over to a safe location that allows the truck to be out of the way of approaching traffic. Pulling over on the roadside should obviously only be done as a last resort. Ideally, it's best to pull your truck off at a rest area or a gas station at the nearest exit if it can be done safely. This is best because it will help the driver reduce or even eliminate the hazard of being struck by a passing vehicle while they are doing necessary repairs and maintenance to their truck.